So thank you, Letty, for that. The monograph picture represents an industry that's even more fragmented than the journal industry. A large number of monograph publishers are small, and there are many fewer standards and in general investments in workflow and discovery in the electronic environment in the monograph space. So I've done some filling in of John's grid, but one thing that I would point out is when we get into the monograph space, there's still a very important role for jobbers and retailers. These are companies like Yankee Book Peddler and Coots, who, for the library space, who really have been beneficiaries of libraries outsourcing their acquisitions workflows over the years. So book acquisitions in almost every library now will be outsourced to one of those vendors. And acquisitions includes that work of metadata enrichment, cataloging of various sorts, preparation of the files, creation of MARC records, things like that. So that's a function that's been outsourced to companies that generally have made most of their money on sales of books. So they make money out of taking a percentage of the price of the sale of a book, and that's their sustainability model for the most part. So that clearly poses a challenge for the open access space, where the price of an open access monograph is zero. So jobbers and retailers is a line to add here. I want to talk particularly about a small project that we've just finished, sponsored by the Andrew W Mellon Foundation, and the final report to Mellon actually went in on the 31st of May, so this is very new information, and we're still trying to work out what it all means. The we here is University of Michigan Press, Open Book Publishers, a born open access book publisher based in the UK, and Eric Hellman from the Free eBook Foundation. Eric, a technologist who has a lot of experience in discovery and in data manipulation. So what this study did is it took 120 sample books from OBP and UMP lists, and we did a series of qualitative and quantitative analyses on this material. Eric led a study of the web logs and the Google Analytics data. We also created a survey tool, a survey instrument, and those links were embedded by us in our open access books. And basically this is on the basis of an unbalanced reciprocity. The idea is that we give the reader an open access book, and in return we'd like to invite the reader or user to tell us a little bit about themselves, about how they used the book, about how they discovered the book. The questions in the survey really got at the three questions. How did you find this work? How did you get or acquire this work? And how did you use the work once you got it? And we had over 800 responses in quite a short period. And that survey tool continues to run and is available as an open source widget for other publishers to use. So we'll publicize the link to that and the results of the report as soon as we get the okay from Mellon, hopefully in the next few weeks. And then finally, we did some interviews with some of those survey respondents. We asked if they would be willing to talk a little bit more to us, and we did a series of semi-structured interviews with a small subset, and also interviews with supply chain partners. So there's the address where the report will be shared soon. So just a few comments on results. This is a visualization of Google Analytics results for the small group of University of Michigan completely open access books that we used in the survey. The books were a mixture of titles which were always published open access in our series Digital Culture Books, and also titles from our Knowledge Unlatched collection. So we've had about 13 titles released in Knowledge Unlatched. This is probably not a surprise. It's showing that almost all the traffic comes from Google. Google includes Google and Google Scholar. And so it's probably useful to get rid of that Google block and just look at where else traffic is coming from. And you'll see that on this graph, there's a level of reader interest indicated by the coloring. So don't just look at the sizes of the blocks, but also look at the level of engagement. And this is where suddenly it starts showing up very clearly the importance of social media in open access monograph discovery. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn was also important, and also the importance of what is essentially a virtual word of mouth. So author sites, Meg Waite Clayton, that's an author, sort of blogs of various sorts. But then also I draw your attention to the very small box in blue. So just the very small contribution that the library catalog makes to discovery. So, you know, just a lot of engagement from those readers, but a very small contribution in terms of absolute number. This is just to show the what the survey link looks like. This is one of our open access books in JSTOR, and on an internal page, you're invited to take the survey as a reader. And the data that came back, because we didn't know what we were going to find, we didn't use a lot of controlled vocabularies and so on, so it's a little bit difficult to automate the sort of analysis. So we chose to use things like word clouds to just give an impressionistic picture of what was going on. This is a picture of responses to the question about where did you find out about this book. So you can see, you know, impressionistically, it's the same message, the message of social media being absolutely crucial in open access monograph discovery, which I think is a strong reminder to book publishers that they need to really have their social media game up there, be encouraging their authors to link, to tweet, etc. So, sort of preliminary results, Google remains dominant, but these social media platforms are really important. Also, particularly important with Facebook and LinkedIn are kind of groups. So things like the Bat Conservation Trust, you know, or medievalists.net, groups that are sort of getting together, affinity groups, who are discussing works, and that's a major source of discovery. There's still work to be done on the library catalogs, on link resolvers, very little traffic coming from discovery services. But some real action on this front. Directory of Open Access Books is a very important resource. It's not a comprehensive resource, but it's coming into library discovery systems through tools like Primo, for example, the Primo knowledge base. And so it is really important in this landscape. And there, as you may have heard at other sessions during this conference, companies like JSTOR and Muse are playing a really important role in kind of normalizing discovery channels for these monographs. So that's me.